Webmania.
Hello viewers, welcome to Webmania Bootstrap 3 25th video tutorial. In this tutorial, we will learn about the Bootstrap Navbar components. So let's see how Navbar is useful. So Bootstrap Navbar component is useful for creating responsive navigation headers for a website. So let's discover what I mean by the responsive navigation headers. Responsive mean on a large screen devices our navbar look like this. Here you can see this is our navbar, and on large screen devices you can see it's spanning across all the entire width of the Bootstrap columns. So on medium and on small screen devices, our navbar look like same as on large screen devices. But the problem occurs when we fell into the category of extra small screen devices and our viewport is less than 768 pixels. So let's see what happened when we fell into the category of extra small screen devices. On extra small screen devices like mobile phones, our navbar look like this. Here you can see our navbar collapsed into a button on extra small screen devices. So this is our toggle button and this is the header of the navbar. So this is toggle button, and when we click on this button, this portion of navbar is to be appeared, and when we click back on this button, so we want this portion of navbar to be disappeared. So let's go to our editor to achieve this navbar. So this is our editor. To achieve navbar, the first step is to create nav element. So here I'm going to create this nav element, and inside this nav element we have to create the class of navbar. So I create this class. So Bootstrap provides us two types of navbar. The first one is navbar default and the second one is navbar inverse. Let's see one by one both of these. So first I'm going to use navbar default. Let's save this and view in our browser. So this is our browser, and here you can see this. So this is our navbar default. Let's go back to our editor, and now we are going to view navbar inverse. So let's save this and view this in our browser. This is our browser, and when I reload this page, notice that the navbar is converted into black. Here you can see this is our navbar. Now it look like this. Let's go back. Bootstrap also provide us static navbars and fixed navbar on both sides of the page, on top of the page and on bottom of the page. For using Bootstrap fixed top, I'm going to use the class of navbar fixed top. Let's save this and view in our browser. So when we reload our browser, nothing happened, but now our navbar is fixed on the top, which means that when we scroll this to the downward, this navbar is not going to move. This is still fixed with the components. So similarly, we can use navbar fixed bottom. Let's save this, and when we reload this, here you can see now our navbar shuffle to bottom. So this is our bottom, and this is fixed navbar. This is not going to move when we scroll down or scroll up. Similarly, we can use navbar static top and static bottom also. So at the moment we are going to use the navbar fixed top. The next step we have to do is to create navbar header. As you see here, this is our navbar header. So let's create this first. For creating navbar header, Bootstrap provides us a built-in class name of navbar header. So I'm going to use div and class navbar header. So here is the class, and inside the navbar header I'm going to use anchor element, and which is webmania. To tell the Bootstrap that this is our header class, we have to use the class of Navbar brand. So this class will tell Bootstrap that this is our header class. So I apply the simple text here. You can also apply the logo or design or some extra what you want. So let's save this and view in our browser. So here when we reload this, you can see our header is appeared here. So this is a link. At the bottom you can see this. So it's a link. So let's go back to our editor. So at the moment we create this header. So now we have to make this button with 3 horizontal lines. So let's go back to our editor to make this button. So we have to make this button, and if you notice the button is inside the header. So here I'm going to use button and give him a type of button. It's important to give him a type, and then I'm going to use the class of Navbar Toggle. So let's see the purpose of this important class Navbar Toggle. The purpose of Navbar Toggle class is if the navbar is not expanded. So this is the navbar, and if our navbar is not expanded, we click on the button. So this is the button. When we click on this button, it's going to be expand. When we click on this button, this is a toggle button, this portion has to be expand. And if navbar is already expanded, here you can see our navbar is already expanded. We click on that to collapse the navbar. We simply have to click on this button and our navbar should be collapsed. So this is the purpose of Navbar Toggle class. Let's go back to our editor. So along with, I'm going to use a data toggle which is collapse, because we want our navbar to collapse. Close this button, and inside the button we want 3 horizontal lines. For creating this, we should have to use this span element, and inside the span element we have to use the class which is going to make the buttons lines horizontal, which is icon bar. So this class makes the button lines horizontal. So I have to make 2 more copies of this because we want 3 horizontal lines. So let's save this and view. So this is our browser, and when we reload this page, nothing could happen. But you have to notice when we fell into the category of this is extra small devices. So here you can see our navbar is now collapsed and these 3 buttons are formed. Sorry, this button is formed, and inside the button these are 3 horizontal lines, horizontal rows. So when we fell into the category of large or medium devices, you can see this is removed. So when again we are in extra small device viewport, you can see this collapse button. Let's go back to our editor. So already we make this header and this button, and now we have to make this portion. So let's go back to our editor. So this is our editor, and we want to make portion. So I'm going to class div element, and inside this I'm going to use the class of navbar collapse and collapse. Collapse this class. For creating links, we have to use the unordered list element containing the class of nav and navbar nav. So this class is compulsory to click the links. So inside this I'm going to use list items and anchor element. Here you can give any link or resources. So here I'm going to use HTML. So I have to make 2 more copies of this, so it become HTML, CSS, it's JavaScript, and it's going to jQuery, and 1 more copy, and this is going to more languages, and on this one we are going to apply drop down class more languages. Let's save this and view in our browser. So this is our browser, and now we only have this header button, so this header link. So when we reload this, here you can see we have links. And so let's apply container class on this and it modified. So we have to apply a container class on our navbar. So I'm going to use class container and close this div before the nav element. So here, let's save this and view in our browser now. So when we reload this, notice these are away from the borders. Now if you want to move this area on right side, you simply have to use the class of navbar right. So let's shuffle this portion to the right side. Let's go back to our editor. So simple, we have to use the navbar right class. Let's save this and view in our browser. So here when we reload this, notice these are on right side of the page. Now let's make drop down on more languages link. For creating drop down, we simply have to use the class of drop down. I'm not going to explain in detail about the drop down because we learned this in our previous video tutorials. If you want to learn drop down, you can watch my previous tutorial. So this is, so here I'm going to use the class of drop down toggle, and data toggle is going to drop down. So here I'm going to use span for a little up downward triangle. Class is caret. For making other languages, class drop down menu, which shows me other languages. List, anchor element, wrap, and these are Bootstrap. Let's make 1 more copy of this, and this is PHP. Let's save this and view in our browser. So here when we reload this, notice we have a downward arrow sign, and when we click on this, so this is our drop down and it's working. Now the final step is to make our collapse button active. To make this active, we have to use the class and ID selector. For this, we have to use ID, and I give him the ID of nav section. You can give any ID. And let's link this ID with this button, collapse button, because we want, when we click on this button, we want to show our this section. So here another attribute is used, which is data target, TARGET, which is going to ID selector, nav section. So this is when we click on this button, this toggle button, this section has to be collapsed, and this section is all these HTML, CSS, JavaScript and other languages. This all section is the ID selector, which is nav section. So we link this section with data target attribute. So let's save this and view in our browser, and here is the required HTML for all that. You can stop the video or see this. So it start from here. So this is our Navbar HTML. So let's save this and view in our browser. So this is our browser, and when we reload this, nothing happened because it's on large screen and this is running properly. So this is when we click on this, our drop down menu is working properly. But when we reload this, minimize this, here you can see this is our header and this is our collapsed button. And when we click on this, here you can see this portion is shown, and this is our drop down. When click on this drop down, here you can see Bootstrap and PHP more languages are also shown. So this is our navbar and it's working properly. So I hope you learn from this video tutorial, and please give me your feedback. In our next video tutorial, we will learn about Bootstrap pages and pagination. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned. Have a good day.